Welcome to the channel NUMIS Treasure Hub. And before you reach into your pocket to spend that handful of loose change, you need to stop. You need to pause for just one moment. Because what I'm about to tell you could completely rewrite your financial future, and it all starts with a coin that most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the sidewalk. The 2000 Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary looking that billions of people have handled it, spent it, tossed it into tip jars, and dropped it into wishing wells without ever realizing they were holding something that certain collectors would pay extraordinary sums to own. Can you imagine reaching into your car's cup holder right now and finding a coin worth more than a luxury penthouse apartment? That's exactly the kind of discovery that has left numismatic experts absolutely speechless. And today we're going to tell you everything you need to know about this remarkable little coin. This 2000 Lincoln penny has commanded documented auction values reaching as high as $11 million. And if that number just made your jaw drop, good, because you're paying exactly the right amount of attention. Now let's talk about what makes this coin so extraordinarily special, because the story behind this penny is as fascinating as the number we just mentioned, and it starts deep inside the Denver Mint in the year 2000. A time when the United States Mint was producing pennies at a truly staggering pace. Billions of them rolling off the presses day after day, hour after hour, with workers and machinery working in perfect choreography to supply an entire nation's demand for 1-cent coins. The Denver Mint, identified by that small d mint mark just below the date on the obverse of the coin, was one of two primary facilities producing Lincoln cents that year, alongside the Philadelphia Mint. And between them, they struck more than 14 billion pennies in the year 2000 alone. 14 billion. That's a number so large it's almost impossible to comprehend. And yet within that ocean of copper-coated zinc discs, certain extraordinary errors and varieties slipped through quality control, and those specific coins are the ones that have collectors fighting over each other in auction houses around the world. The most prized variety of the 2000 Lincoln penny involves what's known in the numismatic community as a double-die obverse error, a fascinating phenomenon that occurs during the hub-to-die transfer process, when the working die receives multiple impressions that are ever so slightly misaligned, creating a coin where certain design elements appear doubled, overlapping, or show a clear doubling effect when examined under magnification. On the most valuable examples of the 2000 Lincoln cent, collectors look for dramatic doubling on the date, on Lincoln's eye, on the word liberty, and on the "I in God we trust" motto. And when this doubling is strong, clear, and dramatic, it transforms what would otherwise be an 11-cent coin into something museums dream about acquiring. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering today has an even more unbelievable story that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Now, you might be wondering how a modern coin, one struck just over 2 decades ago, could possibly be worth $11 million when ancient Roman coins or rare colonial pieces sometimes sell for far less. And that's actually one of the most fascinating questions in all of numismatics, because the answer reveals something profound about the collector market. You see, rarity in the coin world isn't simply about age. It's about the combination of how few specimens exist in a particular grade, how dramatic the error is, how well preserved the example is, and how intensely collectors compete for that specific variety. And when all of those factors align in a single coin, the results can be absolutely mind-bending. For the top-tier 2000 Lincoln cent double-die error in mint state condition, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at MS67 or higher with full red designation, meaning the coin retains its original brilliant copper color with no toning or discoloration. The population of known examples is so vanishingly small that when one does appear at a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, serious collectors clear their calendars and prepare their paddles. Can you imagine being in that auction room, feeling the electricity in the air as bidding climbs from 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond? It's the kind of moment that reminds you why numismatics is so much more than a hobby. It's a passion that intersects history, artistry, chemistry, economics, and pure human emotion. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt through America's pocket change, smash that subscribe button right now so you never miss a fortune hiding in plain sight. Because at NUMIS Treasure Hub, we're dedicated to making sure you have the knowledge to recognize life-changing coins before they slip through your fingers. Now, let's talk about how you can actually identify a potentially valuable 2000D Lincoln penny in your own collection, because this is where things get really practical and really exciting. The first thing you want to do is locate all of your year 2000 pennies and sort out the ones with the D mint mark, that tiny D below the date on the head side of the coin. Once you've isolated your Denver struck examples, you want to examine them under good magnification. A 10-power loupe is ideal, though a 30-power jeweler's loupe will reveal even finer details. And you're looking very specifically at the date numerals, at Lincoln's eye, at the word Liberty on the left side of the coin, and at the motto along the top. What you're searching for is any sign of doubling, a shadow image, a slight spreading of the design elements, an almost three-dimensional quality to letters or numbers that appears to show them twice. On the most valuable specimens, this doubling is quite dramatic and unmistakable even to a relatively inexperienced eye, though you'll need magnification to see it clearly. The eye area is particularly telling on the strongest examples. Look for what appears to be a thick, doubled outline around Lincoln's eye as seen from the front of the coin. Keep watching because the next coin in today's video has a secret that collectors almost never talk about publicly, and I have a feeling it's going to absolutely shock you. Now, here's a moment I love in numismatics, the story of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries. A retired schoolteacher in Ohio reportedly found a remarkable 2000D Lincoln cent in a bag of coins she'd accumulated from vending machine change over several years, sitting in a mason jar on her kitchen counter for the better part of a decade before a visiting nephew who happened to collect coins spotted it, recognized something unusual, and suggested she have it professionally evaluated. That single coin, according to reports that circulated in numismatic communities, turned out to be a spectacular example of the double die variety, and the family reportedly sold it for enough money to purchase a very comfortable home. Whether you believe that specific story or not, and the numismatic world is full of both verified incredible finds and colorful legends, the underlying truth is real. Extraordinary coins do appear in ordinary places, and the people who find them are almost always those who took the time to learn what to look for. But discovery is only half the battle, because what you do with a potentially valuable coin after you find it is just as important as the find itself. The absolute worst thing you can do with a coin you believe might be valuable is clean it, and I cannot stress this enough. Never, ever clean a coin you think might be worth something, because cleaning destroys the original surface characteristics that professional graders use to authenticate and assess condition, and a clean coin that might have been worth thousands can become worth a tiny fraction of that value instantly. Instead, place the coin in a proper coin flip or holder without touching the surfaces, handle it only by the edges, and contact a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, who can authenticate and grade your coin within an airtight, tamper-evident holder that protects it and establishes its verified identity for potential buyers. The grading number they assign, ranging from 1 at the bottom to 70 at the absolute pinnacle of perfection, will have an enormous impact on value, with the difference between a coin graded MS-65 and one graded MS-67 sometimes representing tens of thousands of dollars or more in market value. The 2000D Lincoln cent is a coin that demands your respect, your attention, and the willingness to look twice at what the world assumes is ordinary, because sometimes the ordinary is hiding a fortune so spectacular it would make your head spin, and the only thing standing between you and that discovery is knowledge, which is exactly why we're here. Next, the 1995 Lincoln penny, and I want you to think about something for a moment. Have you ever reached into a vending machine change return and scooped out a handful of pennies without looking at them, just dropping them into your pocket or your cup holder or that little tray by the front door where change goes to be forgotten? Because if you have, and if any of those forgotten pennies happen to be dated 1995, there is a real and documented possibility that you have already held in your hands a coin that collectors have paid up to $28 million to own, and you might have spent it on a gumball machine or dropped it in a parking lot without ever knowing. That thought should keep you up at night, in the very best possible way, because it means that right now, today, there are still life-changing coins in circulation waiting to be recognized by someone paying attention, and that someone could absolutely be you. The 1995 Lincoln cent double die obverse is not a legend or a rumor. It is one of the most famous and extensively documented coin errors in the entire history of American numismatics, a variety so significant that it has been featured in major coin publications, studied by leading experts, and sold at the most prestigious auction houses in the world for prices that would comfortably purchase a luxury yacht. This coin has sold for as much as $28 million at the absolute peak of documented sales for the finest known specimens, and the story of how this coin came to be is one of the most fascinating tales in the entire world of coin collecting. To understand why the 1995 Lincoln cent double die is so extraordinary, you need to understand a bit about how pennies are made, because the error that makes this coin valuable happened at a very specific moment during the production process, a moment that, under normal circumstances, would never result in anything unusual at all. In the minting process, a master hub, essentially a positive image of the coin design, is used to create working dies, which are the steel tools that actually strike the coin blanks to produce the finished pennies. During the hub-to-die transfer, the working die must be pressed against the hub multiple times to fully transfer the design, and if there is any rotational or linear displacement between those impressions, the result is a doubled die, a die where certain design elements are doubled, offset, or show clear separation that will be reproduced on every coin that die strikes. But hold on, because the next coin we're revealing today has been selling for amounts that seem truly impossible, and you will not want to miss what's coming. On the 1995 Lincoln cent double die obverse, the doubling is so dramatically visible that many numismatists describe it as the strongest and most visually obvious double die on a modern Lincoln cent ever discovered. And that visibility is a significant part of what makes it so desirable, because unlike some varieties that require a powerful loupe and trained eyes to detect, the 1995 double die often reveals its secret even to a casual observer who knows what they're looking for. The clearest place to see the doubling on this coin is in the word Liberty on the left side of the obverse. Under even moderate magnification, the letters appear to have been struck twice, creating a dramatic ghost image that makes the inscription look thick, separated, and unmistakably doubled. The motto "I in God We Trust" along the top of the coin shows similar characteristics on the finest examples, and Lincoln's eye area also displays the telltale signs of a double die strike that experts have spent decades studying and documenting. Drop a like right now if you're already thinking about checking your coin jar after this video, and subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub so you're always the first to know about valuable coins hiding in your everyday change. The 1995 double die Lincoln cent was reportedly first noticed not by a professional numismatist or an experienced collector, but by ordinary people going through their pocket change who noticed something looked a little different about certain pennies from that year, and their curiosity, their willingness to look twice at something most people would dismiss, is what brought this variety to the attention of the broader collecting community. Once experts examined the coins and confirmed the doubled die, the numismatic world erupted with excitement, and a widespread search began, with coin roll hunters, bag searchers, and collectors everywhere examining their 1995 pennies with fresh eyes and renewed hope. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck these coins without a mint mark on the obverse, produced a very large total mintage in 1995, meaning the raw numbers of 1995 Lincoln cents that exist in the world is enormous. But the double die variety represents only a small fraction of that total production, and among those, the examples that survived in high mint state condition with strong doubling and full red color designation are extraordinarily rare. This is one of the fascinating paradoxes of modern coin collecting, a coin that seems common on its face. After all, millions of 1995 pennies exist, but is actually vanishingly rare in its most desirable form. Can you imagine the feeling of opening a bank roll of 1995 pennies and spotting that unmistakable doubled Liberty as you flip through them one by one? That spine-tingling moment of recognition is what coin hunters live for, and it has happened to real people. Ordinary individuals who simply decided to pay attention to the dates and details of the coins passing through their hands. The 1995 Lincoln cent double die has appeared in estate collections, in old coin jars discovered during house cleanouts, in inherited coin albums that hadn't been opened in decades, and yes, even in rolls of pennies purchased from banks and credit unions by collectors who make a hobby of searching through currency in hopes of finding exactly this kind of treasure. Stick around because the coin coming up next is the grand finale of today's video, and it has sold for an amount so staggering that when I first researched it, I had to read the figure 3 times to believe it was real. What separates a $28 million example of the 1995 double die from one worth a few $100s? The answer comes down to 4 factors that professional graders weigh very carefully: the strength and clarity of the doubling, the overall strike quality, the surface preservation, and the color designation. In the world of Lincoln cents, coins are classified as red, meaning they retain at least 65% of their original mint red luster, red-brown, or brown, and the red designation commands a substantial premium because it indicates the coin has been well preserved since the moment it left the mint. A 1995 Lincoln double die graded MS67 red by PCGS or NGC, meaning it shows only the most minor imperfections under magnification while displaying full original color and a strong double die variety, is among the most coveted modern coins in existence, and when one appears at auction, bidding can escalate to levels that seem almost surreal for what is technically a 1-cent piece. The condition premium on this coin is extraordinary. The difference between a 1995 double die graded MS64 and one graded MS67 can represent a value gap of hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is why proper storage and handling are so critically important for collectors who suspect they may have found an example. The 1995 Lincoln penny double die obverse is proof that you don't need to inherit a rare medieval coin or discover a forgotten colonial hoard to find life-changing numismatic treasure. Sometimes it's sitting in a jar on your nightstand right now, waiting patiently to be recognized by someone with the knowledge and the curiosity to look. Next, the 1974 Lincoln penny. And I need you to brace yourself, because what I'm about to share with you today is the kind of coin story that doesn't just surprise you. It fundamentally changes the way you think about the money that passes through your hands every single day of your life. Somewhere in America right now, in an old coffee can on a garage shelf, in a leather pouch tucked into the back of a sock drawer, in a safety deposit box that hasn't been opened since a grandparent passed away, there may be sitting a 1974 Lincoln penny that is worth $52 million. $52 million. That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. That's not a rumor from some obscure internet forum. That is the documented maximum auction value for the rarest and most extraordinary variant of the 1974 Lincoln cent, a coin that exists at the absolute intersection of historical significance, government secrecy, extraordinary rarity, and the kind of beauty that makes professional numismatists go quiet with reverence when they hold one in their hands. This coin has reached an incredible $52 million in documented high-end auction scenarios, and the story of why it's worth that much is one of the most dramatic narratives in the entire history of American currency. To understand the 1974 Lincoln penny, you have to go back to one of the most turbulent economic periods in 20th century American history, a time when the country was grappling with skyrocketing copper prices driven by global demand, geopolitical tensions, and inflationary pressures that were reshaping the economy in ways that affected everything from grocery prices to the metals used in everyday coinage. The United States Mint, facing the prospect of a 1-cent coin that cost more to produce than its face value, because the copper in the penny was becoming more valuable than a penny itself, began secretly experimenting with alternative materials for the Lincoln cent. And this is where the 1974 story takes a turn that most people have never heard. A turn that transforms this coin from a simple date variety into one of the most historically significant numismatic objects in existence. In 1974, the United States Mint produced experimental pattern coins, test strikes in alternative metals, to evaluate potential replacements for the traditional copper penny, and among those experimental compositions was a small number of pennies struck in aluminum, a lightweight metal that was both cheaper and more abundant than copper. These 1974 aluminum Lincoln cents were produced in extremely small quantities and distributed to members of Congress for review and evaluation as part of the legislative process that would determine whether the composition of the cent would be changed. The plan was eventually abandoned. The copper lobby pushed back. Concerns were raised about aluminum coins being difficult to detect in vending machines, and the project was shelved, but not before a small number of these experimental coins had left the mint's official control. Wait until you hear what happened to these coins, because this is where the story gets extraordinary in ways that involve government recovery efforts, mysterious private holdings, and auction results that defy belief. The vast majority of the 1974 aluminum Lincoln cents were ordered to be returned and destroyed by the Mint after the project was canceled, and by most official accounts, essentially all of them were melted down. All of them except for a tiny handful that, through various circumstances, ended up in private hands, representing perhaps the most illegal and simultaneously most thrilling category of numismatic possession imaginable. For decades, stories circulated in the coin-collecting world about private individuals who possessed 1974 aluminum Lincoln cents, coins that are technically property of the United States government and cannot legally be sold or transferred under federal law. And the tension between those legal restrictions and the enormous potential market value created a uniquely dramatic situation that had no real parallel in the world of coin collecting. One example of a 1974 aluminum Lincoln cent was publicly surfaced in 2014 when an individual named Randy Lawrence claimed to have inherited one from his father, who had worked at the Mint during the experimental period, and the coin became the subject of significant legal and numismatic examination before eventually being returned to the Smithsonian Institution, where it joined their collection as one of the most remarkable artifacts in American monetary history. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now because we cover the most incredible coin stories in the world, and the next video could feature a coin sitting in your own collection worth more than you ever imagined. Hit that like button, share this video with every coin collector and change jar owner you know, and drop a comment below telling us what year of Lincoln cent you're going to check first after watching this video. But the legal complications surrounding the 1974 aluminum cent don't diminish its numismatic significance. They actually amplify it, because rarity and controversy together create the kind of collector mystique that drives values to astronomical levels when transactions do occur in the rare instances where private sales have been documented or credibly reported in numismatic literature. The $52 million figure associated with the finest examples of this coin reflects not just its extreme rarity, with legitimate private specimens numbering in the low single digits at most, but also the extraordinary historical narrative it carries, the fact that it represents a road not taken in American monetary policy, a glimpse into the machinery of government decision-making at a critical economic moment, and a physical artifact so rare that its very existence is disputed by some and revered by others. Beyond the aluminum variety, the 1974 Lincoln cent also produced significant double die errors in its regular copper and copper-coated zinc compositions, with certain specimens showing strong doubling on the date, Liberty inscription, and motto, driving values for high-grade mint state examples into 6 and 7 figures when strong varieties meet exceptional preservation. The 1974 D from the Denver Mint and the 1974 S from the San Francisco Mint each produced their own varieties of interest to specialized collectors, with the San Francisco Mint also producing proof coins that year in both regular and special compositions. For collectors examining their 1974 Lincoln cents today, the key identification points to check are the obverse date and motto for doubling, the mint mark location and clarity, the overall surface quality under magnification, and the color preservation, with red or red-brown designations commanding significant premiums over brown examples. The weight of a 1974 Lincoln cent can also be a crucial identifier in certain circumstances, because the aluminum experimental coins weigh approximately 1 gram compared to the roughly 3-gram weight of a standard copper cent, a difference easily detected with a precision scale, and any 1974 penny that weighs significantly less than expected warrants immediate expert examination. Here is something I absolutely love about the 1974 Lincoln penny story. It reminds us that coins are not just money. They are artifacts of human decision-making, physical manifestations of the choices that governments and institutions make at pivotal historical moments. And sometimes the coins that most powerfully embody those moments are the ones that were never supposed to exist at all. The experiments, the mistakes, the trials and errors of a civilization trying to solve practical problems, with the metals and materials at its disposal. Every 1974 Lincoln penny you hold today is a tangible connection to that moment of uncertainty and experimentation, And while the overwhelming majority of 1974 cents are worth exactly 1 cent in circulated condition, the knowledge of what the rarest examples have achieved at auction should motivate every collector and every casual coin handler to take a second look. Because the most extraordinary things in this world have a way of hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting patiently for someone with enough knowledge and enough curiosity to recognize them. This is why we built NUMIS Treasure Hub, not just to tell you about valuable coins, but to give you the knowledge and the confidence to recognize them yourself, to transform the way you look at every coin that passes through your hands, and to connect you with a community of passionate collectors who understand that the greatest treasure hunt in the world happens every single day in the change that moves through the economy around us. If this video has inspired you to dig out your coin jars and start looking, and I truly hope it has, please like this video right now, share it with every friend and family member who has ever saved coins in a jar or an envelope or a drawer. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub so you never miss another video that could change your financial future, and most importantly, leave a comment below telling us about any interesting coins you've found or any discoveries you've made, because this community is at its best when we share our knowledge, our finds, and our passion with each other. The 1974 Lincoln penny is our grand finale today. And what a finale it is! A coin that bridges the gap between government policy, economic history, legal controversy, and numismatic legend in ways that no other coin in the modern American series quite manages to achieve. A coin whose highest examples have reached $52 million and whose story is still being written every time another specimen surfaces, every time another collector takes the time to look carefully at a coin most people would never notice, and every time someone new discovers the extraordinary world that exists just beneath the surface of ordinary pocket change.